Ryan Day. Everything we said about Ryan Day up into the playoffs was true.
Not bad. Come on, Kenner. You can do better than that.
To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished.
Getting better.
1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them.
There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Well, I guess the one thing that you could say that the Reds did over the weekend is that their streak remains intact. You know, I'm not talking about the streak where they just continue to get their ass whipped by the Milwaukee Brewers every single series, it seems. The streak where they are still the only team remaining in Major League Baseball that has yet to get swept. How about that? How about that? I thought, I mean, when the Reds went down late in yesterday's Game 3, I thought, well, here it is. It was just the balloon that everyone had of the excitement for the Cincinnati Reds. It was about to be popped, but they ended up getting the win to close out the series and at least send some Reds fans home happy, although a lot of Reds fans are not happy as we sit here today. Happy Monday, the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. We have a ton to dive into. It's a big news day. I feel like the team that has the people most emotional right now is the Cincinnati Reds. That's what I want to open up with. The Cincinnati Bengals apparently are fielding trade offers for Trey Hendrickson. Mike Brown, in one of the few hours of the day that he is awake at the beginning of camp, stated that he had no intentions of trading Trey Hendrickson. Reports are saying otherwise. What's going on in Cincinnati when it comes to Trey Hendrickson? I tell you what, I love content, but I like new content. I'm tired of talking about the temper tantrum that Trey Hendrickson is throwing. I'm tired of talking about the Cincinnati Reds just always upsetting everybody around. We'll get into the Trey Hendrickson Cincinnati Bengals drama in a moment. A couple of Ohio teams have officially named their starting quarterback for the upcoming season. We'll get to that. The Cleveland Browns, although we don't know. I think more people, I don't even think people really cared about who the Browns are going to name as their starter. They cared more about the position of the QB depth chart. We'll get to that shortly. And we now know who's going to, of course, be starting for the Buckeyes when they take on Texas coming up on August 30th. We'll get to all of that. But let's dive into the Reds because I'm ticked off. And I'm not ticked off at the Reds. I'm ticked off at what I want to say is probably 80 to 85% of you Reds fans. I'm ticked off at the majority of you Reds fans. And it's not just Reds fans. I feel like it's professional sports fans in this region. And maybe every fan base has this. But I feel like Cincinnati sports fans, that you are some of the most delusional and honestly soft fan base in all of sports. When yours, like the force field that you put around your superstar players as if they're not allowed to be criticized, as if they don't do anything wrong, is just so crazy to me. You have your starting shortstop that is one of the league leaders in strikeouts and is one of the league leaders in errors, but yet we can't criticize him. We can't criticize him. I was watching game 2 the other night against the Brewers. The Reds had the lead. It was a simple, just close-out play. Elly De La Cruz is a generational, once-in-a-lifetime player. He's so good. He is so once-in-a-lifetime generational type of a player that we as Reds fans have already accepted the fact that the Reds are not going to pay him because he's that good. He is so good that we as Reds, like that's how good Elly De La Cruz is. He is so good that we have just automatically put him into the category of he is so good we can't even afford him. He's that good. But yet, we continuously talk about his strikeout issues, but yet we continuously talk about the fact that he can't seem to field fundamental ground balls, but yet we continue to talk about the fact that although it is a league team-leading 19 home run count, he's had 1 home run in the last, 3 weeks, month, whatever it is. And if you take all of that, I don't technically need Elly to lead the team in home runs. Technically, I would have loved Nick Krall to do what he said he was going to do and go get a damn outfielder that is a power bat. I would have loved that. I would have loved for Nick Krall to have done his job. But we beat up on the GM for not doing his job all the time. We beat up on Terry Francona when he makes a lineup move that's wrong. We beat up on him. We beat up on Matt McClain when he goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts or whatever it is. We beat up on Spencer Steer if he makes an error, even though they're putting him at first base, sometimes in the outfield, they're moving him all over. We beat up on everybody except for the one guy that is supposed to be head and shoulders better than everybody else. But yet that one guy that is supposed to be head and shoulders better than every freaking buddy else is continuously making so many mistakes that I'm afraid to crack this mic and even maybe just point it out because, well, the homeristic morons want to sit there and tell you, Kenner, you can't say that about Elly De La Cruz. He leads the team in pretty much every major statistical category out there. Well, maybe that's why the Reds are only in the playoff race to begin with, because the New York Mets are the ones peeing down their leg. By the way, the Mets are the only reason the Reds are even in this playoff race. Because if a guy that strikes out all the time, if a guy that can't hit a home run, if a guy that all he does is commit errors, if that guy right there is one of your leaders in every major statistical category, maybe that's why the Reds aren't any freaking good. I'm ticked off because the Reds should have taken 2 of 3 from the Brewers over the weekend. And to be honest, they should have probably swept them. You have an 8-1 lead on Friday night and you took your foot off the gas. How do you put up 8 runs on however many hits you had in the first 4 innings? And then you have almost 20 consecutive outs after that. Shaw, thank you. Elly De La Cruz has hit 1 home run since May 23rd. Since May 23rd, he's hit 1 home run. Elly De La Cruz, that is. They should have beat the Brewers in game 1. You had the lead. You just needed your once-in-a-lifetime superstar, generational shortstop to just make a simple throw to first base, and he couldn't even do that. And the Reds, yes, other players made mistakes too, but that's the thing. Elly De La Cruz is not other players. Elly De La Cruz is a guy that when the lights get brightest, when the moments get the biggest, he should be at his best. And way too many times, he is not. But man, he's exciting. For every 2 errors, 3 errors, he'll have one of the most amazing backhand flippy-do hula hoop, light himself on fire while doing a backflip while headbutting the ball to first to get a guy out. You guys remember that, but you can't seem to remember that there's 3 other errors that always come with one of those highlight plays. I am so sick and tired of you Reds fans that make up this imaginary stupid rule that you can't criticize Elly De La Cruz. I'm gonna criticize Elly De La Cruz because he is one of the best players in baseball and should be held to a higher standard than a Spencer Steer. I'm going to hold him to a significantly higher standard than a Matt McClain. I'm going to hold him to a significantly higher standard than an Austin Hayes. I mean, my goodness. This guy is so damn good that he's going to make $700 to $800+ million. The Reds, we already know he's going to be a Dodger or a Padre or a Met or a Yankee at some point. But yet, we can accept that. But what we can't accept is people who criticize him because he can't fundamentally field a ground ball, because he strikes out as much as anybody else out there, because he can't hit the ball out of the ballpark. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. This is ridiculous. And you Reds fans, you do this all the time. You do this all the time. There was and I'm just some random boob in Dayton on an AM radio station that my opinion doesn't matter. Okay? But what about the likes of a Hall of Fame voice like a Marty Brennaman back in the day? And I know Reds fans, I know you guys know baseball. You just pick and choose when you want to pretend to be dumb to baseball. And one of the biggest, most delusional, embarrassing mindsets that any of you Reds fans ever had was back in the day when Marty Brennaman had the nerve to use common sense, and I could see why that is a problem for some of you people, when he called out Joey Votto. Remember Joey Votto, $25 million they paid him a year to be the guy that would carry the weight for the Cincinnati Reds organization, and you would have the Reds down a run, and you'd have a runner on second, a runner in third, and your best hitter up in Joey Votto, and he would work harder to draw a walk than he would to drive in runs. And Marty Brennaman, in a night of frustration after seeing this happen over and over and over, knowing that, hey, the Reds have a, not so fancy lineup or a not so sexy lineup because, well, they took all their money, gave it to one player. So when that happens, there's a little bit more expectation and responsibility on your plate. So rather than trying so hard to draw a walk, you should try to draw runs in. Marty Brennaman said, hey, you know what? That's great that you lead the league in on-base percentage, but the Reds didn't pay you to lead the league in on-base percentage. They gave you $25 million a year to be one of the league leaders in home runs, to be one of the league leaders in hits, extra base hits, RBIs. Right? That's why the Reds, We know this. You know what I mean? Like, that would be like in the NBA if LeBron was averaging 9 points per game instead of 25 a game, and he was averaging 2 rebounds a game instead of 9 rebounds a game, and was averaging 1 assist a game instead of 8 assists a game, but he was the league leader in free throws. Can't rip LeBron for averaging 9, 2, and 1. He's the league leader in free throws. I don't care about that. The Lakers, the Cavs, the Heat, and the whoever, they didn't pay LeBron James to lead the league in free throw percentage. They paid LeBron to be one of the league leaders in points, rebounds, assists, and every damn thing else. You guys do this, but you guys get so damn sensitive, and you're not allowed to criticize your superstar players. It's ridiculous. It's soft, and it's embarrassing. The Reds are one of the most historic franchises in all of baseball. I know Reds fans know baseball. You just pick and choose when you want to decide to act as if it's the first year you've ever watched sports in your life. It's not that crazy to criticize Elly De La Cruz. It's not that crazy to expect him to be able to field a freaking ground ball. You're going to make $700 to $800 million freaking dollars coming up here in the next couple of years. You can't field a ground ball and throw a guy out at first to win your team the damn game. You're supposed to be so damn good that the Cincinnati Reds aren't even going to be able to afford you, and that's why we're all sitting here boo-hooing with years left on his contract because he's so good, but yet he can't field a ground ball. But Barry Larkin at 20-something errors when he was 23. I don't care about Barry Larkin, and you guys don't care about Barry Larkin. I see the things you guys say about how bad of a broadcaster he is. I hear it. I see it. I read it. Don't pretend like you care about Barry Larkin now. My goodness. How silly and ridiculous and embarrassing can some of you Reds fans be? Turn the station off. I don't care. Turn the show off. I don't care. Oh, he's criticizing me. I don't want to listen to this. I don't want you listening. When I tune in to watch a game or listen to a game, I want to know that I'm taking in the game with smart baseball fans, not people who say, well, I know he lost us the game, but my God, do you see that smile of his? He's so funny. Oh, he's such a hard worker. I don't care about hard work. I care about results. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about the highlight plays he makes. I care about the plays that he doesn't, and he seems to make way too many plays. Seems to have way too many instances where there's plays he doesn't make. As long as Elly De La Cruz remains in Cincinnati, he is the face of the franchise. And when you are the face of a franchise, there are way more expectations that come for you, more so than anybody else. You are held to a significantly higher standard than everybody else. I didn't write that rule. Those are just the rules that we follow all sports by. If we're not a fan of the Reds, we look at a star player on any team, and when they make mistakes, we say, well, that's the star player. My gosh, they should be able to count on him. We should be able to count on Elly De La Cruz. The lights were the brightest over the weekend. You had the hottest team in baseball, the team that's kicking everyone's ass in your division. You're not going to come from behind to win the division against them, but you had a chance to make a statement. And when the lights were the brightest and when the moment was the biggest and you're the best team at Great American Ballpark and a chance to close it out, 2 straight nights, you crap down your leg, almost 3, and your star player is out here caring more about trying to, like he wants to play for the Savannah Bananas and entertain everybody. You know how I'm entertained with wins. I'm entertained mightily, bigly, greatly by wins. That's what I care about. I don't want to sit here and crack this stupid mic and talk about how, well, by golly, the Reds almost did it. Elly De La Cruz, get your head out of your behind. Reds fans who think I'm being too harsh, go find a different sports talk show to listen to. I don't care. I really don't care. I am so tired of these soft-ass fans that sit here and say, well, Elly De La Cruz, he's leading the team in every other major statistical category. What else do you expect him to do? I expect him a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent that is so good that the Reds already can't afford him 3, 4, 5 years from now. I expect the future Dodger to be able to field a ground ball. That's what I expect. And that's what you should expect. And if you don't expect it, that's why the Castellinis love owning the Cincinnati Reds, because there's a delusional, gullible fan base that cares more about, well, by golly, he almost had it, than there are the people who are like me saying, what the hell, dude, come on. You are the same people that got mad at Marty Brennaman for using common sense when it's you guys that don't have any. I'll never forget that. I was dying alone. I was dying on a hill alone about Joey Votto, who I'm not anti-Joey Votto. There was just things about Joey Votto that drove me nuts. He didn't seem to have that super intense competitive gene. While the team started its 4th rebuild in the decade that he was on the team, he cared more about creating entertaining TikToks wearing a kilt than he did about the fact that the ownership was mocking fans saying, where are you going to go? But yet I'm the bad guy. What? That's stupid. And you know it. And you know it. This series over the weekend ticks me off. I'm so glad that they at least held on to not get swept. That's the only hanging point I have. That's the only silver lining that I could sit here and feel good about is the fact that they didn't get swept. But by golly, while you guys sit here and reminisce about the TikToks of Joey Votto and about the play that Elly almost made, I'm going to sit here and be angry, looking back at the opportunities that the Reds had that they could have made this past weekend more memorable for good reasons and not bad reasons. It's this area, man. You're allowed to criticize your franchise players. You're allowed to expect more out of them than everybody else. And as long as Elly De La Cruz is in Cincinnati, he's the face of the franchise. And as long as he's the face of the franchise, there are going to be so many nights where I expect him to step up. When the lights get brightest, when the moments get biggest, when the team needs him the most, he has to step up. And to his credit, he did that in game 1. When they had multiple runners on base, the Brewers, their back was against the wall, and he started the rally. He started when the Reds put up 8 runs or whatever it was, and they had an 8-1 lead. I thought, well, the Reds have this one. Good. But him and everybody else disappeared the rest of the way. Well, Justin, it wasn't only Elly. Everyone else did too. That's right. But not everybody else is a future Dodger. The guy that's supposed to be so good that's going to be a Yankee or a Met or a Dodger or a Padre or whoever else. How does that guy disappear the rest of the game? Yes, I'm annoyed. You should be too. I don't get it. I don't get how you guys aren't annoyed. That was a bad weekend. And all you guys came out with your pitchforks ready to defend the honor of Elly De La Cruz. I love Elly De La Cruz. I don't want him to be a Dodger. I don't want him to leave Cincinnati. I just want Elly De La Cruz to field a damn ground ball and throw a runner out at first so that the Reds could have taken 2 of 3 from the best team in baseball in the Milwaukee Brewers. That's all I want. And if I'm the bad guy for that, I don't even want to know what that makes you guys, the ones that disagree with me. I don't know what to make of that. I see a lot of comments. I'm going to get to those when we come back. 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Reds fans, the fact that they're only a game and a half out, they're lucky. They're lucky for a lot of reasons, but they're also only in this because the New York Mets have forgotten how to play baseball. And when they figure it out, it might be too late. The Reds have had so many opportunities to jump into that final wild card spot. And they let opportunities slip through their hands every single night. I need the blood. My watch keeps going off because my blood pressure, I think, is something's going nuts on my watch because I'm sure I'm getting too fired up. So I'm going to step away for a few moments. 937-518-1410. Can we have a conversation about Elly De La Cruz? Can we please be critical of Elly De La Cruz and it not be I want Elly De La Cruz off the team. I want to cut him. I want to trade him. I think the Reds would make a mistake paying him. No, nothing like that. Can we just all agree that it is fair to expect your franchise player to do franchise player things like, I don't know, hit a home run, field a simple ground ball? I don't know how the calendar works. I know school's back in session. Is Little League done? I'm pretty sure if I go to any of these local little diamonds around here, I'm pretty sure I could find people playing baseball that know how to field a ground ball, right? This isn't hard. Elly De La Cruz, franchise player, future Dodger, Yankee, $700-800 million guy. I'm pretty sure it's fair to expect him to field a ground ball, right? We'll be right back. All right, and we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Coming up this Thursday night, Fairmont and Alter. It'll be our Week 1 ESPN Dayton High School football game of the week. Pre-game coverage will kick off at 6:30 with the 7 o'clock kickoff. Can't believe high school football is already here. But yes, high school football Week 1 action, and we'll have Alter and Fairmont to kick things off coming up later on this week. And for the complete regular season schedule, you could head to wingam.com and see where we're going to be each and every week. Keith Byers and I will be on the call coming up this Thursday. It's our only Thursday game. The rest of the games moving forward will be all Friday. But yes, we kick off the season every year with Alter and Fairmont, the Battle of Kettering, and we're looking forward to doing that again. Byers and I think we started doing this back in 14, so it's pretty wild. We've been doing this for over 10 years now, and every year but one, due to COVID, of course, we have been kicking off the season with Alter Fairmont. But we're looking forward to that matchup coming up later on this week. We welcome you back again. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Got a little heated in that first segment. I was blown away. Like, for one, when I saw Elly De La Cruz make that mistake over the weekend that cost the Reds game 2, I saw it, I was annoyed, and I was ready to move on. But then what I saw was so many delusional homers on social media defending Elly De La Cruz. And now when I say defending Elly De La Cruz, it's not as if I want everyone to have their pitchforks out. And it's not as if I want everyone to start, trade Elly or to demote Elly or to cut Elly or anything like that. No. Everything that, like, everyone trying to convince me how good he is. I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree with you how good he is, which is why it should infuriate you when someone as good as Elly De La Cruz can't make simple fundamental throws to first base. Excuse me, but I truly believe that at the very least, the very least, what I would expect of my all-star, 2-time all-star shortstop would be to be able to throw a ball to first base. And I see some of the trolls are existing now. How about a shout out to Mr. Doug Toby? All right, let's give him the attention he's craving. All right, let's read this together. All right, he takes a shot at my golf game. That's fine. But he went to my favorite. He starts bringing up Barry Larkin and everything else. Yes, thank you, Doug Toby, for reminding me that Elly De La Cruz is 23 years old. I don't care. You mean to tell me that it takes you 25 years to learn how to field a ground ball? I'm pretty sure he should know how to field a ground ball, right? And if it's really a position that only the aged and experienced people could play, then maybe don't play your guy at shortstop. Maybe everyone that wants him in the outfield is right, maybe. Maybe. Never thought about that. 23 years old, don't have many other good options at shortstop. Okay. Also on the Reds front office, I'm not really sure. I mean, they don't have a whole lot of options at third base. They're not putting him there. All right. They don't have a whole lot of options at first base. They're not putting him there. Why is this the one position that you want them to die on this hill for? All right. He goes, he's bringing up Barry Larkin, Cal Ripken, early career at shortstop, and how many plays does he make that most guys can get to? That's great that he can make a lot of plays that some can't, but he also can't make a lot of plays that even the most average shortstops can. This is what I'm talking about, Doug. You're trying to convince me that he's a good shortstop. I'm not even telling you that he's not. I'm just telling you he needs to be able to make simple fundamental throws to first base. And I mean this as respectfully as possible. I don't give a damn about Barry Larkin or Cal Ripken Jr. I don't care how long it took them to figure out the position. As long as he is the shortstop for the Reds, as long as he is a generational talent that is the face of the franchise, as long as he is at shortstop, I will still expect him to be able to make simple fundamental throws to first base, Doug. Like, what are you saying? How many, so are you saying that he's allowed to make all the mistakes he wants because, hell, it took Barry Larkin until he's 28, 35 freaking years old to figure out how to play. We don't have time for him to figure out how to play shortstop. We don't have time. We just don't. We're going to have him next season probably still trying to figure it out based on your weird logic. We're not going to have him or anybody in 2027 because I'm expecting that season-long lockout. And then we're going to get one more year. So the Reds have at least 2 more years with Elly De La Cruz, at least 2 full regular seasons. And you're over here, oh, give it time. It took Barry Larkin for. Oh, give it time. It took Cal Ripken. That's fantastic. That's swell. That's super. You get 3 more years of Elly De La Cruz in Cincinnati. 2 of those. You only get technically 2 because there will be a season-ending lockout in 2 years. And then when you do resume, it's going to be all about finding a trade partner for him. And then you know what? You're going to sit here when he does figure it out, how to play shortstop. Douglas, you're going to think that you got one on me. You're going to sit there and say, well, see, I told you, you just got to give him time. And no, I'm going to say, no, we don't have time to give him time. I don't have time to give him time. And then my favorite. So he's like Kinner in a foursome of golf, makes a lot of mistakes. That's fine. I never pretend to be good. I'm not telling you I'm good at golf. In fact, every time that people ask me to golf, I have to remind them, I'm not good, right? Like, hey, we have an outing this coming up weekend. You want to do it? Are you trying to win money or trying to have a good time? If you're trying to win money, I'm busy. If you want to have a good time and drink some beers, smoke some cigars, make inappropriate jokes, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. All right? So make fun of my height, make fun of my weight, make fun of my golf game, Doug. That's fine because everyone's making fun of you for your crazy logic that, it doesn't matter if Elly doesn't know how to play shortstop. Look how long it took Barry Larkin for. We don't have time for Elly De La Cruz to figure out the position. And maybe, just maybe, we need to stop calling him a generational talent because if you can't field a ground ball, you constantly strike out, you can't hit the ball to the ballpark. I mean, we're talking about a lot of can'ts to be calling him a generational talent if that's the case. And by the way, I do believe he's a generational talent. All I'm saying is I'm so tired of everybody that constantly makes excuses for their franchise players when those are the players you should be the hardest on. They're the richest. They're the best. They have everything. They really don't need you to hold a bucket for them everywhere that they go. It's okay. It's okay. The fact that you guys are harder on Matt McClain than Elly De La Cruz is just mind-boggling to me. I expect less from less talented players. I expect more from more talented players. I don't know what you want me to say to that. I don't. It's like, and again, we're about to enter football season, and you guys are going to do the same lame thing. Joe Burrow's going to throw for 290 yards and 3 touchdowns in quarters 1 through 3. Hell, through 3.5. But Joe Burrow is going to only throw probably, 7 picks on the season, but 4 of those are going to come late in games with the chance to win it. And then you guys are going to do the lame, well, what else you want him to do, man? Look how good he was in quarters 1 through 3.5, man. Maybe don't fumble it against the Chiefs last year and it wouldn't come down to the officials in the final drive of the game against the Chiefs, right? Maybe don't, have multiple turnovers against the Ravens late in a close game, and maybe, just maybe, they win those football games. But hey, it's everyone else's fault. You guys take a bad defense and you hold them to a higher standard than your franchise quarterback. Like, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Just because they are your franchise player doesn't mean you're never allowed to criticize them. It's okay. You're not a bad fan if you say, man, I expect more out of my guy. And that's what I'm doing. I expect more out of Elly De La Cruz. That's it. I expect more out of him. Elly De La Cruz, if he does what he's supposed to on Saturday night, the Reds win that series. And we're talking about a team that's in the playoffs right now. And we're talking about, like, everyone views the Reds differently if they win that series. I want to clarify one last thing before we get to your calls. I love Elly De La Cruz. I'm one of his biggest fans. I don't want him to be a Dodger. I'm going to be pissed when the Reds can't get it done to keep him. But man, oh man, just because you guys are gullible and silly enough to think that the Reds or that he's too good for the Reds, so we're just going to take anything he gives us. I'm not that way. I expect more of him. I expect him to be able to field a ground ball. It is what it is. All right. Let's go through some of these. And by the way, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, we're live, the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel. Follow along. That's where all these comments and everything is coming from. Ann Anderson, I hope you're doing well. Ann says, I expect him to field his position. Maybe it's time to put him in the outfield to get his head together. And to those bitching about, look at Ann cussing. I love it. Ann's one of my favorites. I love it. She goes, into those bitching about what ball players wear, who cares? As long as the league allows it, I don't care if they wear nothing as long as they field, hit, and look good. So there you go. Look, and I need him to field a ground ball. If he's a generational, once in a lifetime face of your franchise shortstop, man, oh man, I just at the very least expect him to be able to field a ground ball. But Ann brings up the possibility of a move to the outfield. She's not the only one. Shout out to Brady. Brady says he's a liability at shortstop. Put him in the outfield. A lot of people are very aggressive about their takes on moving him to the outfield. And I'm here to tell you, I've seen him I think the metrics show that he's a solid shortstop. I've seen him make amazing plays at shortstop. I'm not necessarily saying I agree with everyone that wants him in the outfield. I'm saying I understand why people want him in the outfield. What ticks me off is that I know he could play shortstop. I know he can make the amazing, unbelievable, only a handful of guys could make the throws that he can. But that's what's frustrating. The fact that like every time you guys want to overpraise him, it proves my point even more. Well, there's not a lot of guys that can make some of the throws he can. Then why can't he make the simple ones? You're right. I agree with you. There's not a lot of guys that can make some of the plays at short that he does. But if he's so talented that he can make some of these unbelievable throws from short that nobody else in the league can make, but yet can't make fundamental, simple throws and plays, that's where you need to be mad at Elly De La Cruz. And there's nothing that David Bell did wrong in developing him. There's nothing. This is an Elly problem. This isn't a coaching problem, a managerial problem. This isn't the Dayton's farm system problem. Oh, the Dragons failed him. No, nobody failed him. He's failing himself, and he's letting the Reds down. When you are a franchise player, there's more responsibility, there's more expectations, and more demand. I mean, he has to figure it out, and he needs to figure it out quick. Because as long as they remain within 1, 2, 2.5 games of a playoff spot, these lights are going to be super bright. The moments are going to be super big, and the opportunities are going to be there for him to cement himself as one of the best players in the game today, or just a project that the Reds are continuously waiting on to develop. Doug Toby earlier in the comment section brought up Barry Larkin and how long he's only 23 years old. You know, it takes you a while. You only have him for a few more years, guys. I'm sorry. I don't have time to wait for him to figure out how to do something that little leaguers know how to do, and that's field a baseball. Go to a little league game. I guarantee you're going to come across a little league shortstop that could field it and throw it to the first baseman. Go to a local high school softball game. You will see her just field it and throw it to the first baseman. It's not like we're not asking him to reinvent the position. We're just asking him to simply do what he should. It's really not that hard. Dennis Snyder says, I guess I just don't understand how someone thinks they're going to go to a whole another organization when he's putting up those numbers. Elly, he's still worth that money today. If the Reds did have the money and they came out and said, man, we paid Elly $700 million today, I'm ecstatic. He's worth it. This isn't me trying to tell you he's not that good. This is me trying to tell you he is this good, which makes his mistakes even more maddening. I was never mad at Shaquille O'Neal for never being able to make a free throw. He wasn't capable of making a free throw. Elly is capable of throwing a ball to a first baseman, guys. Maybe a weird comparison, but you see what I'm saying. Like, you can't expect someone to do something that they're not able to do. I don't think I'm crazy for expecting Elly De La Cruz to be able to throw it to the first baseman. I used the Joey Votto example earlier. I wasn't crazy for expecting him to do something that he's not capable of doing. I know he was capable of knocking it out of the ballpark. I know he was capable of driving in runs. But when his team needed him to do that the most, It's like he put his Superman cape on to draw a walk to first base instead of driving in those runs when there wasn't a whole lot of options behind him in that lineup to do it. There was the urgency there. If Joey Votto can't drive those runs in, who the hell else behind him is going to do it? And if we're expecting the guys behind Joey Votto to knock in those runs, then why are we paying you all that money? We should be paying the guys that are responsible for driving in those runs all that money. That was Marty Brennaman's whole point about we don't pay him to lead the league. The Reds are not paying him to lead the league in on-base percentage. They were paying Joey Votto to come up big in clutch moments, to drive in runs, to knock the ball out of the ballpark, and to be the centerpiece of the Reds' offensive production. And I'm sorry, but Joey Votto getting on base so that the guys who make significantly less than him and who are significantly less talented than him, to put all the responsibility on them to drive in the runs, it made no damn sense. You knew it. I knew it. We all knew it. The Hall of Famer, Marty Brennaman, knew it. But yet you all wanted to say Marty Brennaman's an old curmudgeon who doesn't understand baseball. Yeah, Marty doesn't understand baseball. You're right. Sorry. What up, Shaw? How are you?
Oh, I'm kind of like you. I'm frustrated and irritated and just blood pressure going through the roof, and it's been going through the roof.
Is it because your team got caught cheating, or is this about the Reds?
This is about the Reds.
Oh, okay.
I've done moved on from that other topic. So I crunched a little numbers while I was on hold. There's obviously been a change in the batting philosophy for one said Elly De La Cruz. Since May 25th, 24th was when he hit that home run, not the 23rd, so I got that one wrong. So it was the 24th. Since the 25th of May, it is 273 at bats. He has 109 hits. That's a 399 average. Very good. Very, very good, quite honestly. 39 RBIs, 33 walks, 69 strikeouts. But again, that only one home run. And I'm a little confused by the 39 RBIs as well. But then you crunch it even a little bit more. So this entire month of August, I would consider basically the beginning of the Reds playoff push. Right? Wrong? Maybe?
Yeah.
62 at bats and he's hitting 210. So he's regressing even further than what he was doing before in the season. And obviously, and there's no home runs in August, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, and the strikeouts have went through the roof up to 20 again. The OPS is to 500, slugging's at 242. Basically, I could get everybody lost the minutia of the stats and everything like that, and I know some people don't care about that. But my point about this is this. You are 100% correct. He is a very darn good baseball player. He also leads the league in errors with 17. And where I disagree with you on Saturday night is under no circumstances should he have made that throw. The ball was hit too softly. McClain had to move too far. The flip was too long. Any shortstop, basic shortstop, not superstar, just your average middle of the road Major League Baseball shortstop knows when that ball hits his mitt, he's moving out of the way and he's not throwing the ball, especially with the tying run running to third base. The last thing you do is make that throw, spike it to where Steer can't even get in front of it and throw it into the dugout. That is literally the last thing you do. My issue with Elly, and it's been my issue with it for over a year now, I don't need my shortstop to make the superstar play. I need my shortstop to make the fundamental play every single time. The superstar play, it's nice. It gets highlights. It brings you fans to the stands and all that, but it doesn't win you ball games on a consistent basis. You all can get mad at Justin. You can get mad at Trace on another network. You can get mad at everybody else on the world for calling out Elly for exactly what it is. I call out McClain too because I hold all of these players to the same standard. I don't put the superstars above the bench players, and I don't put the bench players above the star players. They're all held to the same standard in my eyes. And if McClain can go 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts on Saturday night and we can rip his tail, we sure as bleep can rip Elly De La Cruz for the effort he's putting out on the field right now. And I don't care about his pearly white smile. I don't care about all of the chains that he wears around his neck. I don't care about all the gloves that he wears on the base path, even though he doesn't even steal the bases anymore. So he may as well take those off. 2 stolen bases in the month of August when we need him moving as much as possible. But that's not even really that's not even a him thing. I think that's more of a Terry Francona and an argument with the front office issue.
Well, there's that. He's also, again, he's battling injuries. He's had a quad injury for quite some time. And I do believe that's playing a role in some of this. But it's not, we can't sit here when he makes good plays and only praise the good plays and then just give a pass for the mistakes every single time. I do believe it's a combo of his injury. He's not as explosive as he was, even when he does make contact with the ball and he's trying to run one out at first or whatever.
Right. It doesn't look the same.
It doesn't look the same. So that the stolen base thing, I do believe his toughness of playing through this quad injury, like there's going to be give and take, but the quad injury is not why he's leading the league in errors. Like these are some of the, fundamental mistakes that he's making as far as that's concerned. Hell, the power numbers, I'm not even that angry about the power numbers. Elly doesn't have to lead. Like people keep saying, what are you mad at about the power numbers? He leads the team in home runs. And I'm like, but that's the problem. The fact that
is the problem.
Yeah. The fact that a non-power hitter is leading your team in home runs, that's more of an indictment on the roster makeup as a whole. I mean, when you look at some of the league leaders in home runs, I mean, there's not a whole lot of shortstop. There's not a whole lot of infielders. It's all outfielders. And we wouldn't even be talking about the power outage with Elly as much as if Nick Krall would have done his job and would have went out and got the power at certain key positions the way that he should have. So now Elly is facing this pressure of, now I have to be a power hitter when that's not really what my game is. I just need the dude to get on base. I need, he's driving runs in. This team doesn't get on base a lot. All right. So that's a problem as well. So there's some things I'm not defending Elly on. I'm aware of the circumstances, but the circumstances that he can control is when a ball's coming to you, field it at a superstar level. And that's just something he's not doing. And then the strikeouts, Shaw, me and you are on the same page. I get strikeouts are through the roof right now across baseball. That's kind of, a given. A lot of the best players in baseball have high strikeout numbers. It doesn't matter. I don't know why we've accepted. I hate when people do that. Kirby's my guy over at Chatterbox, but he's a big excuse maker when it comes to the strikeouts. I'm like, I don't understand why. Well, because the whole league's striking out, I guess we just accept it. No, I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem. Like in the NBA, well, it's not a problem that everyone shoots threes. Look, everyone's shooting three. Well, no, some teams shouldn't be shooting threes. Some guys shouldn't be striking out. Elly should not be striking out because guess what? He's not a power hitter, which means he's not swinging for the fences. He just needs to have more smart and, fundamental at bats, and he's not doing that. Sorry, rant over again.
No, you're fine. I mean, because you're basically taking everything right out of my mouth, what I was going to say. And like I said a few months ago, I'm giving Elly, and it's kind of like Tito, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt this year that all of this stuff is going to get worked out, and hopefully he gets healthy this off season and the quad kind of gets healthy and everything kind of goes away and we kind of figure everything out. And Tito talks to the front office because, okay, let's go to another point that's just absolutely frustrating to me. So we finally get Benson back, but how did we have to get him back? We had to DFA Fraley. So now we're down an outfielder and we still don't have a left fielder on this ball club. There isn't one. Marte is doing a great job in right field. Benson's our center fielder. Who's going to play left field now? Espinal? Shit, I mean, come on now. Like, really? You can't be serious about trying to make the playoffs and you're going to run Espy out to left field? There's just too many automatic outs in this lineup right now.
I think you're going to see Andujar play first more with Spencer Steele. I'm curious when the lineup comes out tonight. If you start to see that,
that's a good possibility.
I would probably see Miguel Andujar probably get more play at first, who, by the way, I think that was a sneaky good get. If I'm going to bag on Krall, if he's going to go get bargain barrel guys, at least get bargain barrel guys that produce. And to Krall's credit, by the way, we're starting to see, Brian Hayes produce offensively to go with the defense.
And that's what real quick before, because I hear the music, so I know you got to go. Just real quick. Like, I mean, I'll raise my hand. Like, I was on here the trade deadline day bashing the Andujar trade, and I was bashing the Cabrian Hayes trade. Well, those have been the two of the better hitters on the ball club for the last few weeks. So that's actually working out well. It's just everything else that they tried to build around this team at the beginning of the season. That's the most frustrating part. I know you're up against it. I'm going to get out of here. Go Blue.
I'm hanging up. Nope, you didn't get it. You didn't get to say go Blue. I hung up on you. No go Blue. We got a dump button here. I'm going to start hitting the dump button. Every time you say go Blue, I'm going to make sure people don't get to hear go Blue. We do not allow people to support cheating programs on 1410 ESPN radio. Okay. I'm just saying it's a stand that I'm taking moving forward. All right. I like two things. All right. I like people who don't support cheating programs, and I like people who expect their franchise face of the franchise once in a generation shortstop to be able to field a fundamental ground ball. Simple as that. Simple as that. The Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. We'll be right back.
Back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, and we welcome you back. The Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Shout out to Gary. Again, we're live on 1410 ESPN Radio, of course, but we're also live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, as well as ESPN Dayton's Facebook page and the Justin Kinner Show YouTube channel. Make sure you're following along. We're live on those platforms every day. Select segments are clipped out, as well as all interviews, and we got some big interviews lined up here throughout the week. Excited about that. Again, we're getting closer and closer. Ohio State named a starting quarterback today, so we'll get to that coming up. The Browns named their starting quarterback. And then, well, the Bengals, their defense was bad last year, and their best defensive player might be on the way out. We're going to get to that coming up in a second. We've talked a lot of Reds today. Gary on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page messaged into the show saying, I have been one of the biggest Elly apologists, but I am 100% with you and Shaw on Elly having to be better on routine plays. Something is off, and they are paying Francona to figure out what it is. Go Browns. And see, maybe I'm so bullish on Francona. People are mad at Francona because of how he's tightened up the reins a little bit. This has been one of the biggest, this has been one of the most impressive base stealing teams in baseball over the last couple of years. Not just from the amount of steals that they've been able to get, but the amount of attempts. And those are all down significantly. But for those who are mad at Terry Francona for not unleashing Elly De La Cruz on the base paths, I actually think it would be more to me reckless if he did allow Elly to go ham on the base paths, if he truly is battling this quad injury that the Cincinnati Enquirer and many other media outlets have released articles on. He's hurt. And I think that has a lot to do with the major step back. Like, he's taken a step back this year. But I also think while we're focusing on the numbers and the production of him taking a step back, I also think what we're witnessing is just a true warrior in regards to the fact that he does not want to miss games. I don't want this to come across as a segment or a show where I'm just hating on Elly. I'm not. Like, the reason I'm so angry about Elly's mistakes are because I know how good he is. You know, we get to a certain point where, you know, when Jake Fraley would strike out or make a mistake, it's Jake Fraley. He's good, but there's a reason the Reds DFA'd him, right? You know, there's a lot of guys that the Reds have that make a lot of mistakes, and it's annoying when they mess up, but it is what it is. Like, okay, that's what they do. But when Elly messes up, it's a problem because I know how good he is. You know how good he is. We all know how good he is. We're all saying the same thing. We're just coming at it from different angles. So I think it would be reckless of Francona to just give Elly the green light on the base paths when he is banged up. Then you risk losing him for good. I think the guys, I mean, in professional sports nowadays where athletes are working into their contracts days to work less, you have athletes in every other sport that are finding way. I mean, they don't want to. I mean, the Bengals are about to take a visit from a free agent guard who is a veteran who just didn't want to participate in training camp, apparently. I have no clue. Doesn't make any sense to me. But, like, you have athletes who are just, they don't care about practice. They don't care about playing. Like, they just want to get paid a lot of money and do everything they can to work as little bit as possible. It's probably which is amazing that we as normal people hate that, because that's probably the only it's the only thing we can really relate to. Like, we as normal people like to find ways to work less and make more money. But as professional athletes who make so much money, we can't relate to that. Go work your behind off, go earn your money. The NBA, it's all about, I want to work way less and make way more. I can't support that at all. Elly De La Cruz had a family member pass away and had to be yanked out of that lineup. Came back way sooner than what me or you or anyone expected him to come back. He's playing with an injury all season, and yet he's still out there leading the Reds in every major statistical category out there. So I'm a big Elly De La Cruz guy. But if you are going to be the face of the franchise, if you're going to be the team's best player, you have to produce. And you have to not just produce when the moments aren't big. You know, it's like Tua in the NFL. His numbers are great, but when it comes time to produce when it matters, there's nothing there, right? There's a lot of professional. There's a lot of quarterbacks and NBA players and just athletes in general. They have great numbers, but they don't have that it factor. Elly De La Cruz has to have that it factor. When the lights get brightest, when the moments get biggest, he needs to be his best. We haven't seen that. And I think it's fair to criticize that. And for those who have the guts to do it, like I do, it doesn't make you a bad fan. It just means that you're not afraid to show off that you still truly comprehend how sports work, apparently. I don't know. Is what it is. But let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. I thought this was interesting earlier because, it's like, people bring this up all the time in Major League Baseball, how there needs to be a salary cap in Major League Baseball. And I said, well, the thing that's interesting about a salary cap in baseball is that I do not think that it would actually help the Reds. I don't think about it. As a Reds fan, what's the biggest thing that we complain about when it comes to the Reds? It's that they don't spend a lot of money. So if there was a cap on how much money that the Reds could spend, what makes you think that they would be motivated to reach that cap? I don't think that it improves anything. I don't think that the Reds don't have talent on their roster because the Dodgers hog it all. The Dodgers hog it all because there's so many teams that aren't willing to go get that talent. And I don't think that putting a salary cap in baseball is all of a sudden going to improve the Reds roster, which is why I've always been a big believer in a salary floor. Because I look at the NFL, which has a salary cap, which means you have the opportunity, if you're allowed to spend this amount of money, you should be spending every dime that is allowed to you to use. You should be spending every dime that is available to you to use, and I would be reaching that cap every single year to show your fans and to show everyone in your organization that you are not leaving one dime on the table when it comes to making sure you're putting your best product out there. So it baffles me when I come across stuff like this. As we sit here right now, for those who are watching live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, YouTube channel, and so on, radio listeners, just hang with me here. Here's the available cap space that each team has in the NFL. Keep in mind, there is a salary cap in the NFL. And the New England Patriots have the most cap space available. How do the New England Patriots, with a quarterback on a rookie deal, I know you went and got Stephon Diggs, and they have my dream quarterback or my dream running back in Trey Hendrickson. Every time I see him score a touchdown and make a highlight play, even though it's preseason, I get so mad as a Browns fan because I wanted him over Judkins, and hopefully Judkins pans out now that he's going to be allowed to play. But look at this. In a league where there is a salary cap, look at all these teams who are not taking advantage of that salary cap. The New England Patriots have $59 million that they could still spend. How on a team, when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, you have no expensive deals on the books, how in the blue hell are you not spending every dime of that remaining to take advantage of that? You can allocate those dollars all over the roster. I don't get it. The Lions, who are in the midst of probably the brightest Super Bowl window in my lifetime for the Lions history, they have $51 million available to spend. Right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. How could this be the case? Like, you continue to go down that list. The Steelers, who have done a very good job this offseason, they've kind of done things that are different compared to how they've done it in recent years. They've gone after so many veteran players. They're not messing around. They went after Aaron Rodgers, right? They went after a DK Metcalf. They went and added key pieces on the defensive side of the ball, and that's their strength as it is. But you did all that, and you still have $36 million left. And you also have a player that's holding out in Hayward that you're not paying, but that's an argument for later. But I look up and down, I see all these teams that just aren't spending their money. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it. And I do think that when you start to look at the teams who are spending all of their money, those are your Super Bowl contenders. Look at the Bills, who are below. They're in the red, by the way. And not every team that spends all their money is a Super Bowl contender, but if you look at all the Super Bowl contenders, the majority of them are spending a good chunk of their money. The Bills are right there. The Chiefs are spending. They have $17 million left. They've spent the majority of theirs. I guess my point is this. For everyone out there that thinks that the salary cap is going to save Major League Baseball, it's not. Because it's not forcing you to spend that much. It's just telling you, hey, you could spend as much as you want under this umbrella. Because in the NFL, we act like every team spends every dime imaginable. They don't, because of the rollover money. If next year's salary cap is $250 and the Patriots roll over $40 million, they have a $290 million salary cap next year. Like, That's how they kind of operate, and that's how they maneuver some of this stuff. So I'm not a big fan of that. I think that the Patriots, they're going to be improved this year. They were one of the worst teams in football last year, but I still think they're leaving meat on the bone. Year 2 of Drake May, how do you still have $60 million, more to spend, and you're not out there trying to bolster this roster? You got Stephon Diggs, that's great, but you should have went out and got more. You should have got more help on defense, more help on offense. The Lions, the same thing. You're in a Super Bowl window. How do you still have $50 million left to spend still? It doesn't make any sense to me. So then you zoom in right there. You see the Cincinnati Bengals. I see a lot of fans who have brought this up today that, the Cincinnati Bengals, when it comes to this right there, $30 million. They have $30 million left to spend at this point. And I just don't understand why they have all that money left to spend and they have not improved the defense at all. And you have your best defensive player that you've been headbutting for a while now. He wants out. And apparently, according to the report, Trey Hendrickson has been demanding a trade out, but now the Bengals have been fielding trade offers for the NFL sack leader. They've been fielding trade offers for the sack leader in Trey Hendrickson. Diana Rossini with The Athletic, she reported earlier today that the teams that have recently inquired about the Bengals star pass rusher and Trey Hendrickson, they were told that Cincinnati's asking price included a young defensive player and a 2026 first-round pick, according to league sources. And it does say that the player heading back does not have to be a pass rusher, that the Cincinnati Bengals, they do want a 2026 first-round pick, and they also want a young defensive player. It does not have to be a pass rusher, although I'm sure as a Bengals fan, you're saying that would be ideal. But the Bengals are consistent. They are sticking to their guns. They want, they don't want to pay anyone into their 30s. They're willing to pay you. They're not willing to pay you if you're heading into your 30s. It's a philosophy of theirs. It is what it is. But I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll step away for a few moments. I want to pick up with this. We just had our camera go out on us, so we'll step away for a few and get back into this when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
or home of. Then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their select.
Nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1 day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Of course, we were talking about the Trey Hendrickson situation just a little bit ago. And the thing that's fascinating about all of this to me is just how much money is still available for the Cincinnati Bengals to be able to spend. For how much money is still available for this to be able to spend. There's still $30 million that the Cincinnati Bengals could spend to help improve this roster. And yet we're talking about them not having the money to pay for Trey Hendrickson, which technically in the Bengals, to their credit, they've not really said, hey, you know what, we can't afford to pay Trey Hendrickson. They're just basically coming out saying we don't want to pay Trey Hendrickson the amount of guaranteed money that he's wanting after. But that's what's made this whole thing fascinating about what the Bengals should do. And so as Diana Rossini had reported earlier today, it was mentioned that they're looking for, it does not have to be a pass rusher in return for Trey Hendrickson. They are fielding calls on this situation. And what they want is a 2026 first-round pick and a young defensive player to be included in the deal. The Bengals aren't even asking for multiple draft picks. What they are wanting is at the very least a first-round pick and a young defensive player that they would have control of for a while. What I did find interesting about this was the fact that one team that has inquired about Trey Hendrickson is a team that's in the division, and it is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are amongst one of the few teams that have reached out to the Cincinnati Bengals that have expressed interest in Trey Hendrickson. And the Browns are one of a few teams. Some of the other teams that have inquired, according to Jordan Schultz, a couple of the teams that have inquired about Trey Hendrickson, yes, the Browns, but the Panthers and the Colts are the three teams that have been reported to have reached out to the Cincinnati Bengals regarding the availability of Trey Hendrickson. Now, I will say this. I actually, like, people say there's no way in hell that the Bengals would trade anything to within the division to the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if that would necessarily be the case. The Browns might be the only team that has the resources to give the Bengals exactly what they want in exchange to get Trey Hendrickson. They just drafted Mason Graham. They just drafted the Schweiziger linebacker from UCLA that was one of the best linebackers in the country. They do have an additional first-round pick for next year. I find the Browns' movements lately to be of a team that feels like they are closer to being a contender than not. Now, some of you are mocking that and laughing at it. That's fine. But every report coming out of Cleveland, listen to multiple shows throughout the day today that have talked about, everyone's so obsessed with the quarterback situation that really what has not been talked about is just how good Cleveland has looked throughout camp. That last year, one of the biggest reasons, yes, the team was bad last year is because the offense was non-existent, but the defense also wasn't very good last year either. But this is a defense that is actually very, very good and underperformed last year. This is a defense that's the majority of these guys were the same defense that was a top 3 defense in the NFL the year before that led Jim Schwartz to win Defensive Coordinator of the Year. So it is one of those things where when you look at what Cleveland already has defensively, when you look at how they could improve drastically, but if you take the NFL sack leader and Trey Hendrickson on one side of that defensive line and you have Myles Garrett on the other, you have an additional first round. Like the Browns wouldn't be out anything. If you had to give up an additional first round pick, you have 2 first round picks next year. If you had to give up one of those first round picks and a Mason Graham, I think that the Cleveland Browns have the best trade package available to send Cincinnati. It wouldn't make any sense, but we're also talking about your Cincinnati Bengals. Nothing they do makes sense. In their eyes, they figure they can move on from Trey Hendrickson, get the Browns' second first-round pick, get a Mason Graham. I mean, who knows just exactly how aggressive the Browns could be as far as what weapon they'd be willing to give up within that trade. You don't want to strengthen the Bengals by any means either, but I mean, if you send them a first-round pick, which could be a high and by the way, that's key here. If you guys think the Browns are going to be as bad as what you think, then, well, that could be a pretty high first-round pick next year. The Browns have young defensive talent that they could include. So, again, if you're just joining us, it's the Justin Kinder Show presented by Frickers. The Bengals are entertaining calls, and they are taking calls to potentially get a deal done for Trey Hendrickson. And not a deal as in get an extension done, a trade deal done to ship him out. It just seems like that they're going in circles. Now, to be fair, this could very well easily be a negotiation tactic. This very well could be all BS. But the teams that are playing the game are the Cleveland Browns, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Panthers. The Panthers still have a quarterback on a rookie deal. They have a lot of money they could still spend. All right, the Colts have Lou Anarumo as their defensive coordinator. Lou Anarumo's defense is what put Trey Hendrickson in position to go be the NFL sack leader and be one of the biggest sack leaders in the NFL the last couple of years. So that makes sense. And then there's Cleveland, who has arguably the best pass rusher in the NFL in Myles Garrett. And if you put a Trey Hendrickson on that same defensive line, I mean, my goodness, what are we doing here? I don't see that happening only because of the division thing. But if Cincinnati is desperate to get the highest bid, I think the Browns are the most well-equipped to give them what they want. Because if you only have 1 first-round pick next year, I don't think you waste it on a Trey Hendrickson. But the Browns have 2 first-round picks. And if the Browns said, you know what? We can give a nice little contract, and they have the money to do it, by the way. They can give that contract extension to Trey Hendrickson and pair him up with Myles Garrett on that defensive line and have one of the nastiest. They already have one of the best D-lines in football. It would be even more nasty if you have Trey Hendrickson and Myles Garrett. But they could give up a first-round pick and still have a first-round pick to work with next year. You just drafted Mason Graham. Include him with, your first-round pick from this past year, a first-round pick next year, basically, in essence. And now you're giving the Bengals a young defensive pass rusher and an additional first-round pick, which could potentially be high if they're as bad as what you guys say they are. I think Cleveland's the most equipped to be able to pull off a trade based on the asking price that the Bengals are asking for, according to Diana Rossini. So who knows what's going to ultimately happen when it's all said and done. I am to pan out one way or another. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We also saw that the Cleveland Browns today announced that Joe Flacco is going to be the Week 1 starting quarterback for the Browns, which that's no surprise whatsoever. All the attention now shifts towards who's going to be Joe Flacco's backup. Is it going to be Kenny Pickett? Is it going to be Dylan Gabriel? Is it going to be Shedeur Sanders? Now, you're probably saying, well, all of them are going to be his backup. Who's going to be next up on the depth chart? That's what I'm curious about. Dylan Gabriel, maybe I just want something more flashier, something with more edge, something more. Maybe I just want it to be Shedeur Sanders, but I truly do think what's best for the Cleveland Browns is for Shedeur Sanders to be number 2 on this depth chart. Shedeur Sanders, by all sense of the imagination, he was given all first-round grades when it came to his draft stock. You drafted him in the 5th round. The loss that you count is drafting Dylan Gabriel. Whether you could dangle him out there and get any kind of draft capital back, who knows? I would have Kenny Pickett 3rd on that depth chart, and I'd move on from Dylan Gabriel. Because keep in mind that the mess at quarterback is only going to get messier. Deshaun Watson's rehab has actually gone really well, and he is on the fast track to being back at some point in the middle of the regular season. Can you imagine if the Browns go the route of keeping all 4 quarterbacks? I think that would be absolutely insane. And then you have a returning Deshaun Watson at some point. Then you got to make that awkward decision of what to do with him. And I don't trust that the Browns are going to make the right decision as far as that goes. So who knows what's going to happen when it's all said and done. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. But man, oh man. All right, Bengals fans, do you believe that the Bengals are going to pull the trigger on this? Do you think that when it comes to Trey Hendrickson, do you think that this is just a situation where it's a negotiation tactic, where they're trying to scare Trey Hendrickson into getting a deal done? Where Trey Hendrickson, you could go to Cleveland, not compete. You can go to Carolina, not compete. You can go to the Colts, not compete. Or you could stay here and compete. I saw that tweet earlier today, and I got a good chuckle. Trey Hendrickson, you could be the best defensive player on a team that's missed the playoffs the last 2 years in the Bengals. You can go to the Colts, be their best pass rusher on an improved, younger, or more balanced roster. Like, the Bengals are the flashier roster of everybody, but this idea that the Bengals, okay, are trying to not trick him, but put the pressure on him of, okay, yeah, do you want your money and then go somewhere where you can't compete, or do you want to take a little less and stay here where you can compete? I don't know if that's the case. Trey Hendrickson has not played in the postseason in the last 2 years. The last time he played in the postseason with the Bengals, they were in the Super Bowl, but that was many, many moons, or the AFC Championship game, I should say. That was many moons ago. So I don't know. I don't think the Bengals have any leverage here. I don't think the Bengals have leverage here. And I also think that the Cincinnati Bengals are in a position where if you were going to trade him, why would have you not just have traded him before the draft? But this is why. There's only one move. There's one move that the Bengals can make, and it would save face. It would make them look good coming out of this most recent draft. And it would set them up for next year's draft. And it would give them an impact rookie right off the bat. Everyone thinks it's foolish. Okay, the Browns reached out to the Bengals. Everyone thinks it's foolish if the Bengals entertain the idea of sending Trey Hendrickson to Cleveland. And it very well may be foolish because you know what? That offensive line stinks. But there's only one team that has the draft capital, that has the weapons, that has the tools to give the Bengals exactly what they want. And if you can imagine Cleveland, when you have Delpit, when you, of course, have Denzel Ward, when you have the secondary that they do, they beefed up at the linebacker position. I love the Schweiziger get, again, the kid from UCLA. And you have Myles Garrett on that D-line, and then you go and you add a Trey Hendrickson. You have 2 first-round picks next year. You can give up one of those. Send Mason Graham over there. I think Cleveland has all the weapons and all the tools in the world to get a deal like this done. So the Bengals have to ask themselves, do we get exactly what we want and expose our quarterback to all of this in, twice a year moving forward, to Myles Garrett and Trey Hendrickson? Or do we take less then and not get the return we could have got before the draft and then just get a bad return right now because we just don't want to trade within the division? That's where the Bengals are at. That's where they have to ask themselves, is it worth it? I think that their best move is to trade within the division. The Browns are the only team that's equipped to give them what they want. The Panthers don't have multiple first-round picks to move on from next year. The Colts don't either. I think that the Browns are the most equipped to do it, and it makes sense for both. The Bengals will get an additional first-round pick next year. You can get a Mason Graham probably. Or maybe you get the Schweisinger linebacker. Maybe you get him. The Browns have all the pieces that are needed to get this deal done. And the Browns make out well in this, and the Bengals make out well in this. I don't think there's any other trade scenario that makes more sense for both parties than that. The Panthers don't have the tools. The Colts don't have the tools. The Browns do. The Browns have the tools to make them better and to make the Bengals better. We'll see what happens. What you guys think? 937-518-1410. Bengals fans, would you be okay if your team traded within the division if it meant getting an additional first-round pick next year? Browns fans, no way in hell should the Browns do that. Do you think that the Browns should do it, not do it? I'm curious your thoughts. We'll discuss more next. We also got to get into Ohio State. We now know who the starting quarterback is going to be for the Buckeyes when they take on Texas on August 30th. We'll be right back.
We're brought to you today by GNC. Hope I'm not interrupting your workout routine, but the GNC Live Well sale is going on right now. Buy one, get one, 50% off everything in the store and at GNC.com. That's right, everything. Protein, pre-workout, creatine, vitamins, supplements, and so much more. Go for it all and don't miss out. At GNC, nutrition isn't just the department, it's the whole freaking store. You got goals, GNC has results. Visit your local GNC store or go to GNC.com.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-7147. 800-575-7147. That's 800-575-7147 or simply visit TRA.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Did you know that looking at the world from a new perspective might make sense, but not when you're in your car? Make sure your vehicle's up to date, including your tires, so you don't end up looking at things upside down. Come see us at Carroll Works Tire. Bald can be beautiful, but not when it comes to your tire. Low, or worse, no tread on your tire.
application fee if you apply by September 3rd. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
To the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Coming up this Thursday night, we kick off the high school football season with the Battle of Kettering, Fairmont, and Alter. 6:30 pregame coverage begins with kickoff at 7 p.m. It'll be myself and Keith Byers on the call as we kick off our 11th season calling high school football together right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll also be carrying the game on our sister station, 1015 Hank FM, so you could check that out over there as well. Again, we welcome you back. I'm Justin Kinner. We've spent a lot of time. Look, we talked a lot about Elly De La Cruz to kick off the show today. The bottom line is this, is Elly De La Cruz is a generational talent. He is the once in a generation. He is the face of your franchise. He is the best player on your team, no doubt. And the amount of people that got upset with anyone who criticized him over the weekend, I was just dumbfounded by. I just couldn't believe it. And I don't understand why Cincinnati fans are so soft when it comes to this stuff. Like, I don't think that I'm crazy. I have a lot of bad takes on this show. I get that, but I don't think that it's a bad take to expect the face of the franchise, a once-in-a-generation talent. I don't think I'm crazy for expecting that guy that's so good that we've already named him a Dodger, that he's so good he's going to make $700 to $800 million. He's going to sign that contract on his next big run here. I don't think I'm crazy for expecting that guy to be able to field a ground ball in a crucial situation in a game to close it out against the hottest team in baseball, the best team in your division. I don't want him cut. I don't want him off the team. But as long as he's in Cincinnati, he is going to be the face of the franchise. And when you're the face of the franchise, that comes with a lot of expectations, and you are held to a standard that is significantly higher than everybody else. And I don't care how long it took Barry Larkin to figure it out. I don't care how long it took Cal Ripken to figure it out. The Cincinnati Reds have 3 more years with Elly De La Cruz, possibly even 2, if what happens in 2027 is what a lot of people believe is going to happen, and that's going to be a season-long lockout. I don't know. Everyone out there that acts like we have all this time in the world for this kid to develop, we don't. We need Elly, the face of the franchise, to be just that. And when the lights are the brightest and the moment's the biggest, we need him to be his best. And more times than not, he's been great in a lot of situations where everyone's been good around him. But he has to be the guy that carries the load when other guys aren't stepping up, especially against teams like Milwaukee. And he did that Friday. You can go check my social media accounts. I was praising him on Friday. But that's how this works. You praise him when he does well because it's exciting. And when he doesn't do well, that costs the team. And it cost the team on Saturday. That series was frustrating. They could have swept the Brewers. They could have just as easily been swept, but they could have just as easily swept that series. They're lucky they didn't get swept. But we'll see if the Reds can turn it around. The Reds start a big series. Excuse me. The Reds start a big series tonight with the Angels. The Reds are on the road for the next, 2 weeks? They're on the West Coast over the next 2 weeks right now, all right? They got 3 against the Angels. It starts tonight, 9:38 is the first pitch. I hate those weird start times, by the way, but 9:10 is when pregame coverage will begin on 1410 ESPN Radio. Brady, Singer, Hunter Green, Nick Martinez, the guys on the mound for the next 3, and then Lytle, Abbott, and Singer against the Diamondbacks. And then Hunter Green, Nick Martinez, and Lytle will have their opportunity against the Dodgers in Los Angeles before the Reds return home against the Cardinals on August 29th. So that's what's coming up. But yeah, man, that was tough over the weekend. But let's get back to the conversation at hand when it comes to Trey Hendrickson. I don't know. So to reset this here, as we sit here right now, Diana Rossini reported that the Cincinnati Bengals are in exchange for Trey Hendrickson. They are fielding calls on Trey Hendrickson. So it doesn't look like that these two sides are any closer to getting a deal done. as the season is just weeks away. We're getting closer and closer. The Bengals, who have their preseason game coming up, their second preseason game coming up later on tonight. There's only one preseason game remaining. There's 2 weeks and some change, and then we're right at it. The regular season is almost here, and a deal has yet to be made. We had Jay Morrison, who covers the Bengals. He was on with us last week. He predicted that Labor Day would be he's feeling like a Labor Day announcement is coming. But here we are days later after that conversation with Jay Morrison, and it just sounds like they are still so far apart that the Bengals are fielding calls. They want to see what they could still get for him. And maybe this is there could be a couple things happening here. The Bengals could be doing this as a negotiation tactic to try to pressure Hendrickson into just accepting what they're willing to offer. Because, hey, here's the teams that are interested. Cleveland, Carolina, the Colts. I mean, none of those teams, those teams' defenses aren't great, but they have nothing on the offensive side of the ball. We at least have Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. So maybe just trying to get him to go that route. I don't know. Trying to scare him into re-signing with the Bengals. There's that. Or it's, let's just see what we can get for him. And if we can get a team that's desperate to make a move like this now, let's just pull the trigger on it. And if we don't like the deal, then we'll just go back to strong-arming him into playing. I have no clue. But I'm getting some heat on social media, reaction. Eric Heinrich on Twitter, he tweets out, he didn't like my suggestion about the Browns. It's not that he didn't like it. He just thinks it's very unlikely. But the Browns, who have a lot of money invested in the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball, they made for a little bit of time Myles Garrett the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL for a brief stint of time. Why would they go spend another 30+ mil on another pass rusher on that defensive line? Well, because that's what you need to go compete to win, but that's besides the point. I said that the Browns are one of the few teams that have all the tools necessary to give the Bengals what they wanted in exchange for Trey Hendrickson. If the Browns just had 1 first-round pick next year, it wouldn't make sense to give that one up for Trey Hendrickson. But the Browns have 2 first-round picks next year. They have 2 first-round picks next year, and they have young defensive pieces. The Bengals, according to Diana Rossini, want a first-round pick and a young defensive piece. Doesn't have to be a pass rusher, but that would be ideal. So I find all of this fascinating. I think that the Browns are the most equipped to be able to give the Bengals what they want. And not just give the Bengals what they want, but it also makes the Browns significantly better. To have the NFL sack leader and the NFL's best pass rusher, Myles Garrett, on the same defensive line, the Browns win that. They make out well, and the Bengals make out well because they get an additional first-round pick for next year and a young defensive talent. And if I'm the Browns, I don't even give them a second piece. I say, we're willing to give you one of our 2 first-round picks. You can have one of our 2 first-round picks next year. That's it. That's all we're willing to get. You're going to get a first-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. That's all you get. Here you go. The Bengals make out well. The Browns make out well. And both teams go on with their day. The Browns have a cash-rich owner that will put a lot of guarantees in this deal. He does it with everybody. I think Cleveland's going to be way better than what a lot of you are saying that they're going to be. I think that Cleveland's going to be very good. Well, pretty good. Let me say not very. I think it'll be pretty good this year. I think they could win 8 to 9 games this year. I don't think Cleveland's as bad as what you guys say. I think Joe Flacco being named the starter with Jerry Jeudy, with Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy, they played a small amount of games last year, but when they made the quarterback change from Deshaun Watson and when they went to Jameis Winston, that offense opened up. They were throwing all over teams. It was a short stint of time because that game in Pittsburgh is when Tillman got hurt, or the game in Cleveland against Pittsburgh on that snow globe game. And that's the last we saw of Tillman. But Tillman and Jerry Jeudy were a hell of a tandem last year. Not Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I'm not saying that, but they were moving that ball very, very well with those 2, with Jameis Winston. Now they have their run game back. Great reports coming out of Cleveland about their run game and how strong it looks. Sampson's actually been as advertised. I mean, that was a hell of a pickup. Probably going to get Quinshawn back here relatively soon. The offensive line is much improved, and that defense has been lights out. The Browns apparently dominated their practice, that practice with the Eagles this past week. Like, I'm hearing all good things for the Browns. And the fact that they're willing to entertain this, to go after it. And I saw that Eric Heinrich on social media reached out and said the Bengals definitely do not want to trade him, but if they basically got 2 top 10 picks for a 30-year-old defensive end, they would accept it instantly. Even the Browns aren't that dumb. I think what's dumb is constantly making this about a 30-year-old pass rusher. The highest paid pass rushers in the NFL are the best pass rushers in the NFL. And guess what, Eric and everybody else? They're all 30. Myles Garrett, 29, going to be 30. What's your point? TJ Watt, 30. Nick Bosa, by the end of his contract, is going to be 32. What's your point? I don't. Joey Bosa, 30. Like all these top passers, Max Crosby is 27. By the end of his contract, going to be in his 30s. Like I don't know. Everyone's upset. Like the Bengals have this very weird obsession with this age that they're the only team that seems to care about that. Everyone else, they have the best pass rushers in football, and guess what? They're all 30. So while you obsess about that because your team's convinced you that that's the problem, the teams that can actually spend money and have money, they're fine with it. I don't think Cleveland's going to get it. Don't worry. I'm not even saying that, but I don't think it'd be the worst idea in the world. Chad Kinster on Facebook says trade Hendrickson to Cleveland for Ward and next year's second and third picks. Fine with that too. If Cleveland could get Trey Hendrickson and keep their first round pick, I'm fine with that. Denzel Ward, you need to get off that contract anyways. He's one more concussion away from that career being toast anyways. So I would send Denzel Ward to Cincinnati with an additional second. I'm fine with that. Who knows what's going to happen as far as that goes. But all right, I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Like I said, Cleveland makes the most. It's not that it makes sense. It's just that Cleveland, if Cincinnati truly is obsessed with getting a first-round pick, I think Cleveland has the tools to get it done. Cleveland can move on from one of their 2 first-round picks and get the NFL sack leader to go with Myles Garrett in a division that now has Aaron Rodgers, that has Joe Burrow, who's the favorite to win the MVP this year. You open up with them, by the way. And you have Lamar Jackson. If you can go at Joe, you have to face Joe Burrow twice a year. You have to play Lamar Jackson twice a year. I think it would be kind of nice to have a Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett duo right there. I'm just saying, it's not that crazy. I don't think Cleveland's dumb for entertaining that. There's a reason they reached out. Everyone knows the asking price, and the Browns were still interested in kicking the tires on the potential deal. Don't be surprised. It would not surprise me if Cleveland pulled the trigger on that. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. And it's a win for Cincinnati, too. I don't know why. I don't think either side loses in this. The only thing it does is Joe Burrow, bad offensive line. If the Bengals did their job and put an offensive line in front of Joe Burrow, this really wouldn't be that big of a concern. It's a concern because your front office stinks, is what it is. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits.